Hello, my marvellous sausages! Now, as you know, I like to bring you the news, and I've been doing a few build videos recently, but there's one build that's risen to the top quite recently because it's so utterly devastating. And in fact, it's so bad that Bungie are going to nerf it. However, they've relented, been kind to us, and allowed us to play, so we're going to have this build until the middle of December. It was just confirmed on the Destiny 2 team Twitter account, or X account, whatever you want to call it. Well, anyway, you've got to see how awesome this build is. It's a Titan build, and it's a Sentinel build, so it's a Void build as well. It's incredibly simple to use, not much build crafting involved, you can tweak it yourself. But let me show you exactly what I mean. Look how cool this is. So I come here to test things on the Grasp of Avarice, and I like to attack old Fries Your Brain here, the Ogre. And I'm doing this solo. Usually it can take me 3 or 4 attempts to kill the Ogre here, because I usually get about a third of the health off, or a bit less, on a damage phase. So we've got the damage phase coming in here. Now, I should have got in already by now, but I didn't. I'd give him a few volleys of the grenade launcher, but watch now, right, because it's hardly doing anything off it. Here it comes, and boom, look at it going down. This is just solo as well. Look at that going down, it's crazy. If I'd have preserved it a bit longer. Look, there we are. I've basically gone down to half his health, look, in one damage phase. And I was so staggered, and I panicked, and I was running around like an idiot. So you can see how devastatingly good this is, particularly solo. And if you're somebody like me who's not particularly brilliant on the old buttons, it's very, very useful. Now, I didn't complete that particular one because I died, because that happens to me quite a lot lately. But I was amazed at how much damage this super was putting out. I also dived into my favourite nemesis of an activity, the Warlord's Ruin, on this first encounter here with Basil Wrathbone. Now watch, his shield's down. I think I've only popped one of the tokens. Look, it's going down very well. This is going so much better, right, for me than it normally does. I think I get him down to almost half health with a first to go. Yeah, look, that's not bad at all. That's much better than I normally do. So for me, this was quite the revelation. Now, there's a reason why this is happening, because Bungie have buffed roaming supers when Act 2 started. Not only do you get 3 times the amount of super energy back from any kills that you make, you also get between a 30 and a 50% damage buff to any of the attacks, except the light attack for Sentinel Shield. Now, this gets a boost of around 170%, which, I need not remind you, is enormous. It's massive. Now, I was watching Shadow Ninja's video on this subject. Go and watch and subscribe. Great channel, fantastic vids. And I'm getting that 170% figure there from him, and I believe that was from Aztec Cross as well. So it's just utterly nuts. It really is well worth sticking this on, having a go at the harder content, and start erasing some of these bosses. Now, of course, being Titans, you've got a couple of options here that you can use to augment the old Sentinel Shield. So these are the best options. They're the Syntheseps, because what they do is increase your melee range and also your super and your normal melee damage as well. It increases the super damage by 50%. So it might be some kind of interaction between this and the light attack on the Sentinel Shield. But I've seen people also commenting on their Doomfang Pauldrons, which also gives a bit of a damage buff as well. Not as big as the Syntheseps, of course, but this also will help you out in getting your super energy back a lot quicker as well. So these two are great ones to use. My personal preference is the Syntheseps, because you just hit hell of a lot harder. Totally fantastic. Now, if you're looking for a build to go with this, you can see my groovy Vidmaster Titan there. Well, I have taken the basis of the build from a Shadow Ninja's vid again. However, I've made some changes myself. So what I've gone for here is you have to have the Rally Barricade, which is so incredibly useful for slamming down and getting your Void Overshield. Really, really important, your Void Overshield. It's a massive help. Whatever jump you want, Strafe is what I go for. I always put on my Lion Rampants to jump with my Titan, because it turns it into a Warlock jump, which is a lot more precise, if you ask me. Now this Shield Bash, I'm not very good with these kinds of things. However, if you do hit with this, it's utterly devastating. It's a lot better than the Shield Throw, to be perfectly honest. But you've got to be running in order for it to sort of activate. So it's up to you, really. I'm using that one, but it doesn't really help you out in a pinch when you're surrounded. For grenades, a Vortex Grenade is good, but you can use whatever you want, really. But Vortex Grenade's really handy. For sucking them all together, that's lovely. Aspects-wise, we've got Bastion, so cast your super to grant overshields to nearby allies as well, and casting a Barricade grants overshield, so that's what's happening. We're tying that in with Rally Barricade there. there. The reason why we choose Rally Barricade, of course, is that it recharges quicker than the Towering Barricade. And then we've got Controlled Demolition as well. Hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile Explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode. That's very, very handy. And then it's up to you what you want with the fragments. But basically, I've gone for survivability, really, because you've got plus 10 resilience there with Echo of Leeching. We've got Echo of Reprisals. Final blows when surrounded by combatants grant super energy. Echo of Revenant, your lingering grenade effects. You can change that if you want to whatever you want, to be perfectly honest. And they got picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power, grants Devour. That's really handy, Devour. Very, very useful for the survivability aspect. Weapons-wise, when I was running Grasp of Avarice, and particularly Warlord's Ruin, I do tend to change my loadout out from what you can see here. What I tend to like to run is, I like to run my Chorus of One, because it's just so devastating when you fire from the hip. It's hilarious. I also stick on here my Bold Endings as well, which is just incredibly useful. And then for my heavy weapon, I did tend to flick between my VS Chill Inhibitor and my Retrofit Escapade. The reason why I'm flicking, of course, is because I blow my face off with the grenade launcher. But yes, that's very, very useful. However, there is something that you should consider on your weapons. Now, I'm going to swap out here something that isn't exotic, because if you stick your tractor cannon on, the old boop cannon, against bosses, if you hit them with a tractor cannon, you've got a 30% debuff on them as well, so they take 30% more damage. And then couple that with the light attack with the Sentinel Shield and the Syntheseps, and you're going to find that you really are hitting them very, very hard indeed. And I do like this. However, I find it difficult to use it in between the damage phases of the boss. So I tend to make sort of, well, exceptions or compromises is perhaps a better word. So, like I said, that's the load that I tried to use. I was using my Titan Submachine Gun because it's got Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Grounds. That's very, very useful. And up here, people are using this, and I did craft this. It's the Lost Signal Stasis Grenade Launcher. It's utterly fantastic, and of course takes a lot of advantage of the artifact perks this season. So that is a lovely loadout to use there, and if you're good with the tractor cannon, you're going to find yourself dishing out so many kick-ins, it's utterly ridiculous. And let's have a quick look at the mods I've got here as well. Now, I've pushed a lot of it into my melee and my resilience there. Look, I got 101 there, 92 for my strength. But you may want to put it in the intellect just for the sake of your super or your discipline. It's entirely up to you. For my helmet, I've stuck in an Harmonic Siphon, so whatever kills I get with my Void weapons, I'll get an Orb of Power, and I've also stuck in Ashes to Assets as well, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. That's the way to do it. We want to get as much super energy as we can. I've also gone for heavy-handed here as well, so power melee blows create more orbs of power. Lovely. I just stuck in fastball there because I only had a 1 left to spend, so I just chucked that in. And now these here, the stasis reserves, of course, increases the amount of stasis ammo that you can carry. Change that to whatever you want, really, and whatever you want. For your protection, I've just gone for concussive dampener there. On my legs, I've gone for innovation. I've gone for a void weapon surge because 2 of my weapons are void. And I've gone for absolution as well. Reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. And then finally, for the mark here, you can put in whatever you want here as a finisher. There's this one, the explosive finisher, which means it restores your grenades. But of course, you can stick in whatever you might you ever might fancy. He swore then. Ha! We've got restorative finisher there, which is a useful one to consider. And then we've got 1-2 finisher there as well, which you could choose, but it's entirely up to you what you'd like to use there. You've gone for a time dilation here too, which slows the armor charges, depleting. And finally, I've gone for Reaper there as well. So shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon, Final Blow, spawns an Orb of Power. What's great, of course, is that because our resilience is so high, you'll be whipping out your Rally Barricade all the time. I'd recommend in this build slapping that down as often as possible so you get your Void Overshield. It's really going to help you out, particularly in boss encounters. Because you can see here what I'm mainly doing is solo play. In fact, that's what I do tend to like to do. I like to solo play. I enjoy doing it that way. But if you can get a fire team together and all 3 of you are running this Sentinel Shield build, you will utterly devastate bosses so fast. You'll be I think you can basically one-phase most dungeon bosses. I've seen other videos of people doing that. It's highly entertaining to watch. If the 3 of you have got this, 3 of you go after them, it's devastating. I've seen them devastating raid bosses. So if you've got a good fire team, and that's not necessarily a good fire team, just a fire team out of mates, so I mean they're good because they listen to you, then stick them all together, take your Sentinel Shield build out, and you can have an enormous lot of fun, and it's going to be great for farming. Just remember, they've said it's going mid-December, which is a bit of a shame, really, but at least let us keep it for, what are we now? Well, it's going to be at least 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks at a push. So I would really recommend that you dust off your Titans, get this build in there, and get out there and start farming for those lovely weapons, yes. So let me know in the comments if you've got any tweaks to the build, or if you've used Doomfang pauldrons a lot. I've seen some people on the Reddits there saying that they're better than the Syntheseps, although Syntheseps are kind of more suited to my style. Anyway, let me know all your thoughts so we can all have a little read, all your hints and tips. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again very soon. Sausage out.